I am.
Imagine for me for just 1 minute that you're standing on the sidelines of a football field or a basketball court or something to that effect. And you hear the buzzer sound, you run out onto the floor, you're in front of a crowd of screaming fans, your heart's racing, your mind's going in 1,000 different directions. This is something that just about every athlete experiences on a daily basis, but especially the athlete that I'm talking to you about today, which is the cheerleader. According to the National Cheer Safety Foundation, cheerleading is one of the fastest growing sports in America. And because of this, I've decided to talk to you about this subject because it's kind of important for, if you have children, daughters that are going to be in high school, and they might want to do cheerleading, you might want to know some stuff about it. Now, there's two main things to remember whenever you're cheerleading. And the first rule is to always yell loudly. You always project your voice so that the crowd can hear you, because that's what you're doing, is you're leading the cheers from the crowd. Also, always smile. Always remember to smile. Now, I feel like I have credibility to talk to you about this subject today because I was a cheerleader for 5 years in high school, or 5 years of high school and middle school. And I went to several cheerleading camps. I've dealt with, professional cheerleaders. I was taught by them. They helped me to learn how to be safe and everything else. So that's why I feel like I have the credibility to talk to you about it today. Some of the reasons that you should listen to my speech is, a lot of cheerleaders aren't respected very well. People don't think that cheerleading is very hard. And after my speech, maybe you'll, be able to understand a little better some of the stuff that goes on as a cheerleader. Now, some of the things that cheerleaders have to do, first of all, there's jumps. There's so many different jumps, so I'm just going to tell you just a few of them. There is the herky, which is, you can see it right here. You put one leg back and one leg forward. And I know that it doesn't look like it's very hard, but a lot of them take a lot of hand-eye coordination. There's the tuck, which is when you bring both knees, up. That's just a standard jump. There's the toe touch, which is, you can see this as well here. You have to jump with both legs out, doing the splits, touching your toes. And there's so many other ones, but those are the main ones. And there's also the pistol jump, the pike. There's the tabletop. There's a lot of different ones. Another important thing that cheerleaders do is kicks. There's not so many kicks, obviously. There's left, there's right, and then there's a double, which is when you kick twice with one leg. Stunts are very important, and that is where most of the problems happen with injuries and things like that. The general stunt that people normally do is the leg stand, which you can see right here, which is basically self-explanatory. You just stand on the legs of the bases. Then there's also the elevator, which is the first step to make most dangerous stunts, which is just where the two bases and the spotter bring the flyer up to shoulder level. Then there's also the extension, which there's tons of different kinds of extensions, but the standard is just straight above your head with your two bases and spotter in the flyer. From the extension, you could do the Liberty, which is when the flyer stands on one foot. There's the Scorpion, where they hold the foot behind their head. Hundreds of different stunts you can do with that. Also, there are different tosses that they use, and generally the basket toss is normally the type of toss that would be used. There's different things you can do as well with that. If you have more bases and more spotters, you can do flips in the air with the basket toss. There's tons of different things you can do, but these are just the general, stunts that are used. Dance is included with cheerleading most of the time, so you have to have some kind of hand-eye coordination and rhythm and things like that. Also, there is the cheers, obviously. That's a big thing. You have to remember all these different cheers. There's many of them. It's very important for parents to understand that cheerleading is a very dangerous sport. So the National Catastrophic Injury Research Center reported that in high school and in college, cheerleaders account for 2/3 of the catastrophic injuries to females. There's been many cases where girls have died because of the stunt gone wrong or anything like that. So as parents, it's very important, and safety is very important. So there's many different websites out there that can help, coaches and teachers and, parents learn how to teach your daughters and sons or whoever to be safe during cheerleading. And one of those websites is the National Federation of State High School Associations. That is a very important website for, for teachers and coaches and things like that to look up. So that's why I've talked to you about this subject today. It's very important, safety, and as long as you're being safe and doing things the right way, cheerleading is a very exciting and very rewarding sport. So that's my speech. So does anybody have any questions? Yes.
If I wanted to get my daughter into cheerleading, what is the best way I can do it?
You would talk to your school, principal, or any teacher really would know what programs at school to talk, to get her into. Normally, it depends on if your school has a sports team, because obviously that's what cheerleaders are. Or you could also use like dance team, which is kind of the same thing, only they kind of perform on their own. So there's also competitive cheerleading, but depending on your daughter's age and everything, that would probably factor into it too. So you just need to talk to the school and find out what kind of programs that they have. So, does anybody else have any questions? Yes.
For sake of argument, let's say that my son wanted to join cheerleading. What kind of advice would you give him for maybe if he got picked on or something like that? What would you say to him if your son asked you if you wanted to join cheerleading?
If you enjoy it, it doesn't matter what other people say, because obviously people are going to get picked on for different things. I mean, people could get picked on because they have blonde hair or red hair or whatever. But
well, what if it was cheerleading?
If it was cheerleading, I would say if you enjoy it, continue to do it and don't listen to what other people have to say. Okay. So that's my speech. Does anybody else have any questions?